Welcome to Tangential Soup, a fortnightly podcast discussing life in Australia, technology, food, fitness and the like, hosted by myself, David Caddy, Melburnian, independent developer and tea enthusiast, as well as my good childhood friend, Alexander Carr, Sydney-sider, karate practitioner and lover of adventure. So, Alex, what's on your mind this week as we kick off Season 3, hopefully on a more regular but slightly
less
delayed
frequent,
schedule? Yeah, less frequent schedule.
Yes. Well, what's on my mind? I think, obviously, we've had a long break, and well done on doing the introduction so well after being away from it for so long and adding that fortnightly in where it used to be weekly.
Yes.
It was a good bit of work on the fly.
We're going to try to stick to this time.
We are. We're trying very hard. Well, I thought that we'd just kick off with, I suppose, a bit of a funner story that you actually found regarding the fact that IKEA is actually looking for 10 regional experts to organise houses throughout Australia. Basically, my understanding of the job is that you will be a tidiness expert.
Yeah, that was the phrasing.
Yes, and you'll, I think, tidy or show people tips on how to maintain a tidy kind of house, and don't know exactly how that's going to be presented to the customers, but I see books and leaflets and everything like that.
Are you just going through and chucking all these things out for people? Saying you don't need that? Decluttering the whole life?
Yeah, decluttering.
Just put a skip in the backyard.
Or just stuffing everything in a cupboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, that's cheating because you've still got the stuff if you do throw it into a cupboard. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of this kind of. Have you've seen a bit of Marie Kondo on Netflix? Have you?
A tiny bit. I know it's been a huge phenomenon, but I haven't really been sucked into it quite yet. Have you seen a fair bit of it?
Well, I've watched quite a few episodes, and I mean the episodes really just deal with the same problems, with slight variations. But she has a method that she uses to tidy the houses of these people, and obviously these people are usually they've got a bit of a hoarding problem. And her method kind of deals with I suppose the practical elements, so actually getting rid of the stuff, how to break it down. So you do kind of sections of the house, and you look at also sections of the things you've got. So there's, I can't remember what they are, but I think there are 5 kind of areas of your stuff that you look at, and there's personal, there's kitchen, clothing, and then there are a couple of others as well. And she kind of breaks it down. She also discusses how to deal with it mentally as well. So how to figure out what you should be keeping, what's important to you and what's not actually important to you, and you're just keeping, because if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm kind of a fan, and I watched it with Samantha. We actually went out and tidied our own house, and it helps a lot. I mean, we got rid of a lot of stuff and kind of freed up a lot of space as well. And having gotten rid of quite a lot of stuff, it's not stuff that we've ever found ourselves missing in any way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but you might need it one day.
Well, that's the trap you've got to avoid. And I think I'm pretty good at it, actually, naturally. I just, I don't like having the clutter in the first place, which is probably why I'm drawn to it. But, I mean, the thing is, you might need it one day, but what's the cost of having it one day? And often the cost is you having a lot of stuff lying around in your house, just having a cluttered kind of life in general.
Exactly. You're like a scout, always prepared.
Well, I personally don't agree with you, to be honest. I find it really difficult to be surrounded by clutter. And, for me especially, I find that it weighs on, my mental health in a way. I just find it's more difficult. It's more difficult to get up and do general tidying when there is a lot of clutter around that I can't properly deal with and categorise.
That is true.
And, I mean, obviously, we have quite a small place as well. So just dealing with that. I mean, for different people, I think different things are important. And obviously, some people might have a lot more hobbies than others, so it's going to be more difficult to organise things. But I think you'll find for most people there are things that you can get rid of. So even just taking that small step is maybe just going to be helpful for you, maybe not.
Yeah. So would you be interested in this job?
No, honestly, I wouldn't.
Wouldn't like to get stuck into other people's things?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I get that satisfaction from having something start being really messy and then finishing being really clean. That is so satisfying for me. But I couldn't actually do it full time. I don't think the passion's quite there. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And as well, one thing that really struck me was the job is looking for someone with. They want tidiness credentials. How do you prove something like that? I mean, where do you kind of get those credentials from? Yes, I tidy my bedroom every week.
Being a janitor?
Being a janitor. I suppose so, yeah. But that's more cleaning than tidying.
Well, true. Sort of like organisation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is more organisation. I mean, that was what I actually thought. Some kind of project management work that relates to, or that you need a high level of tidiness in, maybe, or something like that. I would be interested. I mean, obviously, they're not going to tell you who gets the job, or you might see the people who get the job on their website later, but I'd be interested to see who's actually applying for this kind of role. I mean, who are you when you look at a role like this and think, wow, this suits my qualifications perfectly? So something that I did when I did a bit of research on IKEA was I found some interesting facts, which I actually thought were very funny when I read them. So I thought that maybe we could go through them. You haven't read them yet, I assume?
No, I haven't looked at them.
No, we've got them on our show notes. Don't read them. I did actually put a note next to them saying not to read them because I thought that I would... We'd play a bit of a quiz game here, and you can tell me what you think the answers to these facts are.
Oh, okay.
So, guess where the largest IKEA store in the world is?
Well, the obvious answer would be Sweden, right? So it's not Sweden, so Canada.
No. Wrong side of the world.
Wrong side of the world? Which side are you going by? The Northern Hemisphere? Southern Hemisphere?
So, east to west side. Well, I mean, yeah, kind of east to west.
China?
No, not China, but you're in the right area, so it's in Asia.
India?
No. I'll give you one more guess and I'll tell you.
Need a richer country. Singapore?
No, not Singapore either. It's South Korea.
Oh, really?
So the store is 640,000 square feet. And yeah, it's located in South Korea. And apparently they're going to be opening more of these massive stores in South Korea. So there is already 4 in Seoul and two more throughout the country. So there you go.
Never would have guessed that.
Could you imagine walking around 640,000 square feet of IKEA?
Well, the ones we have are already pretty hard to meander through.
They are very difficult.
Hopefully they've got a few shortcuts in there. Otherwise, you'd have to take like an absolute full day, get there at like 8 a.m. just to see the whole thing and actually get out before dinner time.
Oh, you're right. It's terrible. I hate going to IKEA. It's absolutely awful. Just walking through their stores, I always... You know that feeling when... Because I mean, I'm not saying I'm hugely fit, but I would say that I'm quite fit, but I find a day of shopping to be the most exhausting thing in the world. By the end of it, my back hurts. I'm like tired and grumpy as well, usually.
Yes.
It's just, it's a taxing thing. All right. So this I thought was actually very interesting as well. So IKEA actually make a lot of money on their food sales as well, because, you know, the IKEA's...
Meatballs.
Yeah, meatballs. Yeah. Guess how many of their famous meatballs they sold in 2012?
That's very hard to estimate. What's a very large number? 25 million.
No. I'll give you some parameter or a parameter here. So, so their annual food sales from their stores are over $2 billion.
Okay.
So try and figure out what portion of that was meatballs.
Probably about half, maybe a little less than half. Say $1 billion. How much do they charge for their meatballs, though? I don't know. How many meatballs do you get per serving of meatballs?
Oh, you get about 8 or 9, I think.
Okay.
Because they're not big meatballs; they're quite small.
I don't know. Then it must be probably close to the same number. Is it like $1 billion?
No, it's actually quite a bit under that. It's 150 million.
I'm overestimating the popularity. Then they must sell a lot more other things.
I think you are. Yeah, because I mean they've got like a full store and they sell. It's not only the stuff you can buy stuff to take home with you, like frozen meals and stuff like that as well.
That's true, yeah. I suppose it's different all over the world too. Coffee to be the main thing, probably. Stay awake.
Well, coffee, and yeah, they do those soft drink cups as well, which I suppose like everybody buys when they go there. So regardless, like you might have different meals, but everyone kind of gets a soft drink cup. So okay, so in terms of companies that consume wood in the world, guess where they come in that ranking?
Oh, they'd have to be up there. Even though it's not actual wood, it's all particle board, but still.
It is, yep.
That comes from wood. There might be some like big development contractors, you know, housing and that might beat them. But in terms of furniture, they'd have to be number one, wouldn't they? So that would put them maybe 5th?
Close. So they're 3rd.
Okay.
Could you take a guess at who the two on top of them are?
Or packaging probably also would be up there, wouldn't it?
Well,
I don't know who makes.
I suppose it would
boxes.
be up there, but they're not actually. No, they're kind of. I think these are American stores, really.
Okay, if you don't know them very well, I'm not going to have a hope.
I've heard of them both.
Are they furniture?
I think they're both hardware.
Hardware.
I think these places are.
Home Depot?
Yes, Home Depot.
But that's kind of different because they just sell lumber as well too, don't they? So they're not really consuming the end product.
Well, that is actually true, yeah.
I wasn't thinking in that way. But yeah, I don't know what the other one would be.
It's Lowe's, which I think is hardware as well, right?
Yeah.
Out of 100 Europeans, how many do you think are conceived on IKEA beds each year?
I don't know, 20%?
10%, actually, 10%.
Okay.
So 1 in 10 are conceived on IKEA beds.
How do they know this, though? I don't understand.
I don't actually really know. I mean,
must just be estimating based on numbers, right? Like they sell this many beds and this many babies were born, so probably something like this.
Yes, yeah, well, possibly, yeah. And just a few interesting facts to finish this off. So there is an IKEA town.
I think I knew that.
So, IKEA has a real estate arm, and it's put together a town in East London. And the town is going to be wholly owned by IKEA, and they're going to rent out the buildings and office spaces there. And there's actually another fact on their meatballs. So they've sold 11 billion meatballs.
In total. It's pretty impressive.
And finally, they sell a Billy bookshelf every 10 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. We don't have Billy bookshelves, but we have IKEA bookshelf. Actually, no, maybe we do have a Billy bookshelf.
I don't know what it looks like exactly.
It's just a standard old bookshelf. Well, there you go. That's IKEA.
They are big.
They're huge. They are huge. They're huge and they're international as well. I feel like IKEA is big everywhere, right?
Yeah, I've seen some videos inside their factories. It's pretty amazing, the level of automation they've got going.
So they process their own wood, do they?
I think so.
I suppose they'd have to.
Yeah, because they're just that big, they can afford to do it.
Yeah, when you're doing things on that scale, it wouldn't make sense not to. Well, David, you shared with me some IT support stories that someone had compiled from Reddit.
Oh yeah,
and
horrendous stories.
Yeah, they were a bit ridiculous, but I thought we could maybe use it as an opportunity to discuss your kind of IT support stories that you've had to deal with. I suppose not really with work, but I mean, you're the IT man of the household, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, and you're my tech support person as well. So
just to some degree, you're pretty good though.
I'm pretty good. Yeah, just
you more ask me questions on what to buy.
I do, yeah. Every single. I mean, I just kind of feel like you know something about almost everything, so it just makes sense to at least get your opinion. If I'm looking at a certain product, I'll say, "What do you think of this?" And I know that if it's not a good product, you'll probably recommend me the better product anyway. So I do usually kind of do a bit of research at the start.
Yeah,
you're my backup
to verify.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have any IT support stories that you have that you could share here?
Not that are particularly humorous. I do know a lot of Mum's passwords, and I'm sure she doesn't know quite all of them.
Really?
That also used to be the case for my brother. I think he's actually finally changed them all now, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, every time I go down to visit my parents, I end up being Dad's tech support person. And he recently made the very strange decision to purchase a phone that he must have seen online somewhere to replace his iPhone. I think he's got an iPhone 7 or an iPhone 8 or something like that. And he purchased this kind of really janky $200 or $300 Android phone. I think it had a gimmick with a 10,000 milliamp battery or something like that.
Okay, like the one that you bought a while back.
You know what? It was this Oukatel. That's right. It's Oukatel, and it was it was the same brand that I bought. And the same gimmick and probably the same rubbish quality of phone as well. Because, he's used to using an iPhone, which is obviously a top-end phone, and he's trying to go back down to an Oukatel, which is, I mean, the operating system was all right, and it kind of functioned all right, but the reception dropped out, in low coverage areas. It just couldn't even get a signal. And because he's traveling around a lot for his work, he didn't have a reception for half the time he was using the phone. And when he got it, I actually told him, "You're not going to like this phone. Don't, just return it to them and, you can get a refund." No, I want to try it. I want to try this phone. I was like, "Oh, okay. All right. Well, you can try it if you want to." Yeah, well, I mean, eventually he ended up giving up. But, with Dad, he never really admits he's wrong. It was like, oh, I had to try it. It was a good idea. My iPhone battery doesn't last as long as this. The battery in the end is not really the relevant point when your phone doesn't function as it should.
Yeah, the battery on the 6 or 7 was never amazing, and if it's a little old, then I can understand the desire for more battery. But yeah, shifting across to a low-end Android phone from that, which is still a very good phone in many other respects, would be tricky.
Yes, yes. Anyway, I thought for our final topic, maybe we discuss the...
something a little bit more depressing.
The coronavirus. Yes. Well, I mean, I wanted to discuss the coronavirus, and I also wanted to discuss maybe the context around the coronavirus, because, I mean, it seems to be everyone's panicking at the moment.
There is a lot of panic out there.
And I just kind of wanted to discuss that panic and how the continuous news cycle feeds on that panic and, what it might actually mean for us. So, I did get together some facts on the coronavirus before I kind of started the podcast, just so I could kind of understand what it is.
Yes, I can see this list. Very organized.
Well, yeah, I mean, I try to be in this first episode. I mean, obviously, we've had some episodes, yes, where I haven't been quite so organised. So basically, the coronavirus is a respiratory virus. It started in China, in Wuhan, which is a city in China. So basically, the symptoms are you don't kind of get very severe symptoms to begin with. You have some coughing and some sneezing and some shortness of breath, but then it tends to lead to pneumonia, which is very similar to influenza, or severe influenza rather. So at the moment, we've kind of had, well, the figures that we have at the moment as we speak may be slightly different to this, but the figures I got yesterday were there are about 1,300 confirmed cases in China, with a few more cases overseas, and about 41 people have actually died from the disease, from the virus. But apparently the virus has quite a long incubation period as well, so more people could die from those 1,300. Something interesting I did see is that the Chinese government is actually building a 1,000-person hospital in China to deal with what they believe will be increased demand. And it's going to be specifically for patients with that particular virus. And apparently they think they'll have the hospital finished within about a week.
What?
I know, it's ridiculous.
Just shows how fast you can build something and you really want to.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. They don't have to worry about funding. They don't have to worry about approvals or anything. They are the approvals.
Yeah.
They can decide it's happening, and then it starts to happen. And you don't kind of have to run around and get all these other things organised, which obviously, most other places in the world do. So another thing is, and again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the fact that I think that the news is a lot of the news is just feeding off the fear of people, because most of the fatalities so far have actually been people who were already immunocompromised and who may have also suffered a similar fate if they had gotten the flu. So obviously it is severe, and there are no vaccines for this particular strain as well.
Although they're working hard on it.
They are working hard, yes.
They reckon they'll have something within 16 weeks.
Well, that's pretty good, actually. I didn't read that.
Not necessarily it'll be ready, but they'll need to confirm it, human trials and what have you, before it's actually properly released. But they should, because there's 3 rapid response units around the world for flu-type viruses, one of which is in Australia. I saw a report the other day, and they reckon within 16 weeks they'll have something and probably should be ready to go within 6 months.
Yeah. So I just also kind of came up with some facts as well around how serious this is compared to other health scares, which, I mean, you remember it. It was a pretty big thing. A lot of cows were killed. Bird flu and SARS, which, all kind of happened in our time. And obviously there have been other ones that kind of happened before our time. But so mad cow disease, which causes a CJD, which is Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which usually leads to death soon after and kind of affects your brain, was brought about obviously by infected cow meat. And it's actually hard to know how many people died from it, because there could still be people with the disease developing today, but it was approximately 200 people died from mad cow disease, which which, is sad for the cows. But, not a lot of people actually died from that. And bird flu, which I think was around in the early 2000s. So there were 566 cases of that, of which 322 died, which is over 50%, which is terrible.
Yeah, that's a bad death rate.
Still, the actual number of people who were infected with it was very low. Although 400 million chickens did die. So that's also really sad. It seems to be the animals are the big ones that suffer.
Yes.
And SARS, which is actually caused by another strain of the coronavirus, is infected 8,000 or about 8,100 people, of which 774 died. So, I mean, that's under 10% of the people who got that were killed. And I mean, just to kind of give you some perspective here. So those were the ones that we remember. Probably the biggest one that we've had in the last 100 years was HIV. And 75 million people were infected with that, and 32 million have died from it. So, I mean, that has a really large mortality rate. Not anymore, obviously, but when it first came out, I think most people who got HIV died of complications, usually, I think. And I mean, on top of that, 480,000 people die each year from smoking, 1.25 million die each year from car crashes, and 10 million die from cancer each year. So I just think that, like, you know, while it is important that the authorities respond to something like coronavirus, because you do need to come up with a vaccine and everything like that, I just think that the way that it's everywhere in the news, the way that every single news station is pumping out these stories, you know, new patients in new countries and everything like that, I just don't think it actually represents the danger and the proportional danger that it has to you. Because, I mean, I know a lot of people are freaking out about it, and you talk to a lot of people, and I think that they're scared about it in one way or another. But I think for the majority of people, it won't affect them at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, that it's got to have a rapid response. It's got to have a pretty big response, because if it's spread enough and got out of control, we'd be in big trouble.
Yes.
But hopefully and presumably that won't happen. Like, we've had these sort of things arise in the past, as you've highlighted there, that have been contained. And while in China, I guess, it's harder in some ways, it's also easier because they can build hospitals that can just lock things down and basically tell people they can't move, whereas I feel like many other places would only go sort of halfway to that sort of measure. We'll probably be okay, I think. And like you said, in terms of fatalities, it's only really those that have a weak immune system already, which obviously is not good for them. But
yes,
your average person is relatively fit, shouldn't be too concerned, should they?
I don't think they should really be concerned at all. I mean, I think that you should be a lot more concerned about a lot of other things. If you do want to be concerned about something like this, like, you know, I think you're a lot more likely to get something like cancer than you are to get something like the coronavirus.
Although they are also worried that it might mutate into something even worse, right?
Yeah, I haven't read that, but it seems to me that that's always the concern with these viruses, that they will change and then they will become something a lot more dangerous. But, I mean, again, if it does, it does. There's nothing really that the average person sitting around worrying is going to do about it.
Well, true.
I mean, maybe if everyone goes outside wearing those masks, it might help, because it is, I think, it's spread through body fluids.
The sort of basic masks don't actually help, though, do they? Or they do?
Well, I think they help you not to give stuff to people. They don't.
Yes.
They're not a fail-safe, but because you're breathing into the mask, a lot of the what do you call it? The moisture in your breath. It sounds a bit weird when I put it like that, but a lot of the moisture in your breath, obviously the stuff, those standard masks, it'll filter out next to your cheeks and around your nose, so some will still get out. But I think a lot of it will go into the mask, so I think it does help reduce it. Obviously, it's not going to stop you breathing anything in that anyone else has put out there, though. So, no, they're not totally effective, but I think they do help a little bit.
Okay.
But I mean, again, they only help if you've got the virus. And if you've got the virus, you're not going to be walking around, most likely.
Most likely, yeah.
You're probably going to be inside. So really, it's only going to help for those people who have been infected but haven't displayed symptoms, or they've just decided to ignore their symptoms. Which, I mean, if zombie movies are to be believed, people will do that. Having said that, though, there was a story on the news, which I've just been disparaging a lot, but there was a news story about a woman who used some medicine to lower her fever so that she could get through the airport, and then ended up posting on social media about it once she'd arrived in another country.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And bragging about it, yeah. So, sure that she wasn't very popular.
Yeah. Why would you post that? If you're going to do it, surely you just want to remain kind of undetected.
Well, yes. I mean, yes. I have nothing to say, but yes, that's true. Any normal person wanting to get away with it would do that. But I think to do it in the first place, you've got to not be very smart. So, I mean, the fact is the cat's out of the bag now. The virus is around the world.
It seems like it's everywhere. Although only limited cases, so it still might not really mean much, right?
Well,
it's hard to say. Like, one person possibly doesn't mean much, but if you get 10, then that could be trouble. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of feel like the whole thing of traveling on the plane, though, doesn't it mean that you've been breathing on people during that plane ride, probably infecting everyone around you?
It still doesn't mean that everyone else is infected, though.
Well, that's true.
Like, there's a chance, it's a higher chance, obviously, but you could still end up with 0 other people around them, right? Theoretically.
I suppose theoretically you could. I don't exactly know how the spread of these things works, but it seems to me that once, especially with something like this that doesn't present right away, like it may take a few days to present, you've already come into contact with so many people that how could you even possibly begin to contain something like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Which obviously is part of the problem they're dealing with now. But
It's going to be pretty hard to really, even if you're super paranoid, protect yourself without drastically changing your daily routine.
Well, exactly, yes.
Which you probably shouldn't do anyway, because if everyone did that, then everything would be disrupted.
Well, precisely, yes, yeah. You have to think of a large-scale solution. And a large-scale solution probably is that. I mean, it makes sense for the people to be aware of it in one way, because if you have the symptoms, you should be aware of it so you can get treatment early and stop infecting others. But in another sense, it doesn't make sense for people to know about it, because ultimately they're probably not going to do anything that good with the knowledge, except for...
Problem is also, I guess, that the symptoms are not very distinct, are they?
Well, no. So I was actually reading that if you do have... The UK has said that if you do have the symptoms and they're mild, don't worry about it. It's probably not the coronavirus, but if they're serious, then get treatment.
Right, okay.
Which you probably would anyway if you think about it. Like, you're not going to be sitting there short of breath and wheezing away and think everything's all right. It's just a cold.
I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably good advice, because if you've got something mild and everyone went out, then that's going to cause a massive strain on the health services.
Well, exactly, yeah. Yeah, precisely.
Unrelated, but sort of related, did you see the Doomsday Clock has moved closer to midnight?
No. What's the Doomsday Clock?
That I can't even remember what organization it is, but there's a body made of a lot of scientists and things, and I think they brought it out like the 70s or something, so it's been there a long time, but they've just moved it closer than it ever has been before. It's like 100 seconds to midnight, and I guess Doomsday being, we're all dead, basically.
Wow. Okay, so can it move the other way, though?
I think they have moved it back at various points in time. Like, I think it has been worse. Like, it was worse during the Cold War, and then it sort of came back a bit because, that all cooled down. But I think the main threat now is sort of, global warming and that. So it's going to be hard for it to go backwards necessarily.
Okay. I'm actually just reading about it now, so...
I don't know how much stock to put in it, but it's interesting. Although they only have a quarter of a clock, so I don't know how much to trust them.
So simultaneously, the world faces 2 existential dangers, which are nuclear war and climate change.
Yeah.
So there are threat multipliers that add on to that, which is cyber-enabled information warfare. There is only one threat multiplier, and that is the cyber-enabled information warfare. They're saying actually that the international security situation is dire, not just because these threats exist, but because the world leaders fill out international political infrastructure for managing them to erode, which is interesting. I mean, I know that there has been a lot of talk around the US's nuclear deals kind of falling through under Trump. I'm not sure if you know anything about that, but certainly with Iran, he has backed out of a nuclear deal, or a deal that stops them producing nuclear weapons, in favour of applying economic pressure and forcing them to stop that way, which is, dangerous at best. And obviously North Korea is developing nuclear weapons, and I don't think that they've stopped developing them. So I can kind of see where they're coming from there. The whole climate change thing, I suppose everyone's saying that once we get over a certain point, there will be no coming back, and maybe we are very close to that point.
I was wrong. It was actually maintained, or has been maintained since 1947, so it goes back quite a long way.
I wonder where it was at during the Cold War.
So this is the closest that it's been, but it has been in 53. It was 2 minutes to midnight, so it has been pretty close before then. But this, I think, is the new record.
Really?
At 100 seconds.
Good. Something to look forward to.
In the year 91, when we were born, it was 17 minutes. They put it back from 10 minutes.
It was... Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. It's really come in, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Civilization-ending nuclear war, whether started by design blunder or simple miscommunication, could you imagine?
That would be awful.
Is a genuine possibility.
Oh, it is.
Climate change that could devastate the planet is undeniably happening, and for a variety of reasons that include corrupted and manipulated media environments, democratic governments, and other institutions that should be working to address these threats have failed to rise to the challenge. Oh, yes. I suppose that's true, actually. The government at the moment is quite corrupt when compared to previous years. And it's interesting to think about the fact that we are, at the moment, living quite close to midnight.
I wonder whether they'll back it off a bit when Trump goes.
I mean, you'd have to, right?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh, this is very grim.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, yeah, well, we didn't end up on a happier note in the end, did we?
No, stop this and go listen to something more cheery.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Thanks again for joining me, Alex.
Not a problem, David. Pleasure as always.
You can follow and get in touch with us on Twitter at Tangential Soup, and you can find this week's show notes for more information about today's topics at tsp.fm/301. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider sharing it with anyone you think might also. And we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks. Bye.
Ciao. That was good. I liked how you finished that one off and just stumbled at the very end. Samantha's just come in and started talking. She likes Murat Safin. Sorry, David, I didn't hear the end of what you were saying because Samantha was talking to me.